The survey ship Vigilant glided through space like a silver needle. Inside, Commander Zixlar adjusted his uniform scales and studied the blue planet on the view screen. Earth looked peaceful from up here, covered in white clouds and blue oceans. "Sir, we are detecting intelligent life forms," said Officer Tekra, her antennae twitching with excitement. "They appear to be bipedal mammals. No significant defense systems detected." Zixlar nodded his reptilian head. "Excellent. Another peaceful species to join the Galactic Council. Begin standard first contact protocols." The crew prepared their translation devices and diplomatic packages. They had done this many times before. Find a new species, assess their technology level, and offer them membership in the Council. Simple and routine. Down on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison was knee-deep in the Pacific Ocean, checking on the sharks in the marine sanctuary. The sun was bright, and the water sparkled around him. His team of researchers worked nearby, taking notes and measurements. "Hey, Jake, you might want to see this," called Dr. Lisa Chen from the shore. She pointed at the sky where a silver ship had appeared, hovering silently above their research facility. Jake waded out of the water, removing his diving gear. "That's not one of ours, is it?" Lisa shook her head. "Definitely not. Look at the size of that thing." The alien ship descended slowly, landing on the beach with barely a sound. A ramp extended from its side and 3 beings walked out. The first was tall and covered in green scales, wearing a uniform with strange symbols. The second had 4 arms and blue skin, while the third looked like a giant insect with compound eyes. Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. "Well," Jake said, "I guess we're the welcome committee." The green alien stepped forward and touched a device on his chest. "Greetings, inhabitants of Earth. I am Commander Zixlar of the Galactic Council survey ship Vigilant. We come in peace." Jake extended his hand, then realized the gesture might not translate. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Captain Jake Morrison, and this is Dr. Lisa Chen. We're marine researchers." Zixlar examined Jake's extended hand curiously before mimicking the gesture. His grip was firm but careful. "Marine researchers? You study your oceans?" "Yes, specifically sharks and other marine predators," Jake explained. The aliens looked at each other. The 4-armed one, who introduced himself as Ambassador Kritok, made a sound like clicking marbles. "Predators? You have dangerous creatures here?" Lisa smiled. "Oh yes, Earth has many predators. Sharks in the oceans, bears and wolves on land. Big cats in various regions. They're part of our ecosystem." The insectoid alien, named scientist Bistklik, rapidly tapped on a device. "Our scans showed no significant threats. These predators must be very small." Jake chuckled. "Not exactly. The great white shark behind me can grow up to 20 feet long, and that's not even our biggest predator." The aliens took a step back. Zixlar's scales shifted to a paler green. 20 feet. But how do you survive? "Our records show your species has no natural armor or defensive capabilities. We learn to coexist," Lisa explained. "We study them, understand their behavior, and respect their space. Sometimes we even protect them from extinction." "Protect them?" Kritok's forearms gestured in confusion. "You protect creatures that could harm you?" "Of course," Jake said. "They're important to our planet's balance. Besides, most predators don't attack humans unless provoked or desperate." The aliens huddled together, whispering in their own languages. Finally, Zixlar turned back to the humans. "This is most unusual. In our experience, intelligent species eliminate dangerous creatures as they develop technology." "We thought about it," Lisa admitted, "but we realized that would destroy our ecosystems. Instead, we became their caretakers." Bistklik's compound eyes focused on the ocean. "You mentioned sharks. Are there any nearby?" Jake grinned. "Want to meet one?" The aliens stepped back in unison. "Meet one?" Zixlar asked, his voice higher than before. "Sure," Jake said casually. "We have a feeding station just offshore. The sharks know us. They're quite well behaved if you know how to act around them." The aliens looked at each other again. This was not how first contact usually went. They had expected to find another civilization cowering from their wildlife, not casually offering to introduce them to ocean predators. Perhaps, Zixlar said carefully, we should start with something less aquatic. The aliens spent the next hour in the research facility's conference room, trying to understand human logic. Ambassador Kretok kept tapping his 4 fingers on the table, a sign of confusion among his species. Let me understand this correctly, Kretok said. You have creatures that can easily kill you, and you choose to study them instead of eliminating them. Lisa nodded while pouring coffee for everyone. That's right. Every species has its place in nature. We learned that the hard way after almost driving some animals to extinction. Zixlar's scales shifted to a darker green. But surely your safety comes first. Our species eliminated all major predators thousands of years ago. And how did that work out for your ecosystem? Jake asked, genuinely curious. The aliens fell, silent. Bzutiklik finally spoke, his mandibles clicking softly. We had to artificially recreate balance. It took centuries and cost tremendous resources. Exactly, Lisa said. We decided it was better to learn to live with nature than fight against it. A loud bark suddenly echoed through the building. The aliens jumped from their seats, their various appendages raised in defensive positions. Oh, that's just Max, Jake said casually, opening the door. A large German shepherd bounded in, tail wagging furiously. The aliens pressed themselves against the wall. What is that creature? Zixlar demanded, his voice trembling. This is my dog Max, Jake explained, scratching the dog's ears. He's a descendant of wolves. Wolves. Kartok's forearms waved frantically. You keep wolf descendants as companions? Max approached the aliens, curious about the new smells. The aliens tried to climb onto the table. Max, sit, Jake commanded. The dog immediately sat, looking up expectantly. It obeys you? Bzutiklik observed, his compound eyes wide with amazement. Of course. We domesticated wolves thousands of years ago. Now they're our best friends, Lisa explained. Want to pet him? The aliens recoiled further. Touch it? Voluntarily? Zixlar asked incredulously. Jake laughed. He's friendly. Look. He demonstrated by rubbing Max's belly, causing the dog to roll over in delight. Slowly, Kretok extended one of his forehands. Max sniffed it curiously, then licked it. The ambassador yanked his hand back with a yelp. It tasted me. Was it checking if I'm edible? No. That's how dogs show affection, Lisa explained patiently. See? He likes you. The morning continued, with more surprises for the aliens. They learned about house cats, descendants of wild cats, pet snakes, and even people who kept tarantulas as pets. Each revelation made them more bewildered. Your species is insane, Zixlar declared during lunch. You surround yourselves with predators and call it normal. Jake took a bite of his sandwich. Not insane, just adaptable. We learned that understanding and respect work better than fear. But what about the dangerous ones? The ones that can't be tamed? Kretok asked. We have protocols, Lisa answered. Park rangers, wildlife experts, conservation areas. We give dangerous animals their space while protecting both them and us. Bzutiklik had been furiously taking notes. This explains the anomaly in our scans. We detected large predators, but no widespread fear responses from your population. We thought our equipment was malfunctioning. Nope, working just fine, Jake grinned. We just don't spend our lives being afraid. The aliens exchanged worried looks. Their entire assessment of Earth had been wrong. They had classified humans as a peaceful species living on a hostile planet. Instead, they found a species that had somehow befriended their world's dangers. We need to reevaluate everything, Zixlar muttered. Our threat assessment protocols don't account for this level of, what would you call it, coexistence? Lisa suggested. Madness, Kretok countered. Max chose that moment to drop a tennis ball at Kretok's feet, tail wagging hopefully. The ambassador stared at the ball, then at the expectant dog. He wants you to throw it, Jake explained. Why would I throw his possession away? So he can bring it back, it's a game. The concept of playing with a predator seemed to break something in Kritak's understanding of the universe. He picked up the ball with 2 hands and gently tossed it. Max bounded after it joyfully and returned, dropping it again at the aliens. Beat, for the first time, Kritak made a sound that might have been laughter. The next morning, the aliens insisted on seeing more of Earth's wilderness. Against Jake and Lisa's advice, they chose Yellowstone National Park for their educational experience. "Are you sure about this?" Park Ranger Matt Cooper asked when they arrived. "We've got active grizzly bears in the area." Zixlar waved dismissively. "We have personal force fields. Your primitive animals cannot harm us." Matt raised an eyebrow. "If you say so. But please stay on the marked trails and don't approach any wildlife." The group set out with Matt leading the way. The aliens marveled at the tall trees and open meadows. Biztclick constantly scanned everything with his devices. "The biodiversity here is remarkable," he noted. "So many species coexisting." "That's what happens when you don't kill everything that looks scary," Lisa commented. They had been hiking for about an hour when Matt suddenly held up his hand. "Stop. Nobody move." A massive grizzly bear had emerged from the trees about 50 yards away. It stood on its hind legs, sniffing the air. The aliens activated their force fields with confidence. Blue energy shields shimmered around them. "See? We are perfectly safe," Kritak declared proudly. The bear dropped to all fours and began walking toward them, curious about the strange smells and energy signatures. "Matt, should we back away?" Jake asked calmly. "Slowly," Matt instructed. "Don't run. Don't make sudden movements." But the aliens stood their ground, trusting their technology. The bear approached closer, now only 20 yards away. Suddenly, their force fields flickered and died. "What's happening?" Zixlar panicked, frantically pressing buttons on his device. "The shields don't work!" Kritak's forearms flailed wildly. "Organic matter," Biztclick realized. "Our shields are designed for energy weapons and projectiles, not living creatures." The bear was now 15 yards away and closing. The aliens huddled together, trembling. Matt stepped forward, pulling out his bear spray. "Hey, bear! Hey!" he called firmly, making himself look bigger. The grizzly stopped, assessing this new development. "Everyone slowly back away," Matt ordered. "Stay together. Don't run." The aliens didn't need to be told twice. They shuffled backward, staying close to the humans. Matt continued talking to the bear in a calm, authoritative voice while slowly retreating with the group. After a tense few minutes, the bear lost interest and wandered off into the forest. Once they were safe, the aliens collapsed onto a nearby bench, their various colors pale with fear. That creature could have killed us all," Zixlar gasped. "Probably not all of us," Matt said casually. "Bears usually just want to be left alone. They rarely attack unless threatened or protecting cubs." "But you faced it with just that small canister," Kritak exclaimed. "Bear spray. It's more effective than guns in most cases," Matt explained. "We've learned what works through experience." The aliens looked at the humans with new respect. These beings they had dismissed as weak had just protected them from a creature that rendered their advanced technology useless. "How do you live like this?" Biztclick asked. "Walking among such dangers daily?" "We respect the animals' space and understand their behavior," Lisa said. "Knowledge is better protection than weapons." Later, that day they encountered a wolf pack from a safe distance. The aliens watched in amazement as Matt explained pack dynamics and hunting patterns. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" Jake commented as the wolves moved through the valley below. "Beautiful?" Zixlar repeated incredulously. "They're killing machines." "They're both," Matt agreed. "That's nature. Beautiful and dangerous. We've learned to appreciate both aspects." The aliens spent the rest of the day observing various animals: elk, bison, even a distant mountain lion. Each encounter taught them more about human attitudes toward predators. As the sun set, they returned to the ranger station. The aliens were exhausted but thoughtful. "I'm beginning to understand," Zixlar said slowly. "You don't see these creatures as enemies to be conquered." "Exactly," Matt smiled. They're neighbors. Sometimes dangerous neighbors, but neighbors nonetheless. Kritok looked at his non-functioning force field generator. We rely too much on technology. You rely on understanding. Why not both? Jake suggested. That's what makes us human. The aliens had much to report to the Galactic Council. Earth was not what they expected at all. Despite their frightening experience in Yellowstone, the aliens remained determined to prove their superiority. They requested an ocean expedition, convinced that their advanced aquatic technology would give them an edge. The ocean is different. From land, Dr. Amy Peterson warned as they boarded her research vessel near the Great Barrier Reef. You need to respect its rules. Zixlar adjusted his breathing apparatus. We have explored the depths of gas giants. Earth's oceans cannot be more challenging. Amy exchanged glances with Jake and Lisa, who had joined the expedition. They knew better than to argue with alien pride. The boat reached the dive site, and everyone prepared their equipment. The aliens had sophisticated underwater suits that looked like liquid metal. Our suits can withstand pressures found in collapsed stars, Kritok boasted. Your ocean creatures pose no threat. They descended into the crystal-clear water. The reef exploded with color. Coral formations, tropical fish, and swaying sea plants. Even the aliens seemed impressed by the beauty. Amy led them through coral canyons, pointing out various species. Biztklick recorded everything with his advanced scanners. Remarkable. Ecosystem, he admitted. Such delicate balance. Suddenly, Amy held up her hand in a stop signal. In the distance, a large shadow moved through the water. As it came closer, the distinctive shape of a great white shark became visible. The aliens froze. Their suits' displays flashed warnings about the approaching predator. Threat detected, Zixlar's suit announced. Engaging defensive protocols. No, Amy signaled urgently. Don't activate weapons. But the suit had already emitted some kind of electrical pulse. The shark, startled by the unnatural energy, became agitated. It began circling them with quick, jerky movements. Amy swam forward, positioning herself between the group and the shark. She carried a long pole with a soft pad on the end, standard equipment for shark researchers. The aliens watched in horror as this human faced a 20-foot predator with nothing but a stick. Their suits screamed warnings about imminent attack. Amy remained calm. When the shark approached, she gently pushed its snout away with the pole. The shark, confused but not aggressive, moved off to investigate elsewhere. She then pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A low-frequency sound pulsed through the water. The shark turned and swam away into the blue distance. Back on the boat, the aliens were speechless. Their advanced suits had nearly provoked an attack, while a human with simple tools had managed the situation perfectly. Your suit's defensive pulse triggered its prey drive, Amy explained. Sharks respond to electrical signals. You basically rang the dinner bell. But you just pushed it away, Kritok sputtered. With a stick. It's not about the tool, Amy smiled. It's about understanding shark behavior. They're not mindless killers. They're curious, intelligent animals. Zixlar looked at his suit's control panel with disgust. Our technology made things worse. Not worse, just inappropriate, Jake offered. You can't solve every problem with force fields and weapons. The afternoon brought more revelations. Amy showed them how she tagged sharks for research, hand-fed, reef sharks, and even demonstrated how certain fish cleaned parasites from larger predators. Symbiosis, Lisa explained when the aliens expressed confusion. Different species helping each other survive. But the shark could eat those little fish, Biztklick pointed out. But it doesn't, Amy replied, because the relationship benefits both. The shark gets cleaned, the fish get food, nature finds balance. As the sun set, they encountered a pod of orcas. The aliens initially panicked, recognizing them as apex predators. But they watched in amazement as Amy identified individual whales by their markings and explained their family structures. You know them personally? Zixlar asked incredulously. Some of them, yes. That's grandmother with her latest calf. She's led this pod for 20 years. The aliens observed as the orcas swam peacefully around their boat, occasionally spy-hopping, to look at the strange visitors. They're checking us out, Amy laughed. They're as curious about you as you are about them. Kurtok watched an orca calf play in the boat's wake. On our worlds, we would have eliminated such powerful predators long ago. And you would have lost something precious, Amy said softly. Every species has its place, even the dangerous ones. The aliens' final test came during an African safari. They had requested to see Earth's land predators in their natural habitat, still convinced they could handle any situation better than humans. "Welcome to the Serengeti," announced Kevin Johnson, their safari guide. He was a tall man with weathered skin and calm eyes. "Today you'll see nature at its most raw." The aliens climbed into the modified safari vehicle, their confidence restored by new protective gear they'd developed after the ocean incident. "We have adapted our shields," Zixler declared. "They now account for biological threats." Kevin nodded politely but said nothing. He'd seen overconfident tourists before, though never from other planets. The savanna stretched endlessly, golden grass waving in the breeze. They spotted zebras, giraffes, and elephants in the distance. The aliens relaxed, enjoying the view. Then, Kevin stopped the vehicle. "Lions," he whispered, pointing to a cluster of tawny shapes under an acacia tree. A pride of 8 lions lounged in the shade. The aliens' equipment immediately started beeping warnings. "Multiple apex predators detected," Zitclick reported. "Recommend immediate withdrawal." "Nonsense," Kevin said softly. "They're just resting. Watch." He drove closer, stopping about 30 yards away. The lions barely glanced at them before returning to their nap. "They don't attack?" Kritok asked, surprised. "Not unless hungry or threatened," Kevin explained. "See that male? His belly's full. Probably ate yesterday." The aliens watched in fascination as lion cubs played while adults dozed. Their fear slowly turned to curiosity. Later they encountered a herd of elephants. The matriarch raised her trunk, testing the air. "Now these can be dangerous," Kevin warned. "Elephants are protective of their young." As if on cue, a baby elephant strayed too close to their vehicle. The matriarch trumpeted a warning. The aliens activated their new shields. Blue energy surrounded them. "No." Kevin shut off the engine quickly. "Turn those off. You're scaring them." But it was too late. The elephants perceived the energy fields as a threat. The matriarch charged. Kevin didn't panic. He started the engine but didn't move. Instead, he revved it loudly while standing up in his seat, making himself appear larger. The matriarch stopped, reassessing. Kevin slowly backed the vehicle away, while speaking calmly. "Easy, Mama. We're leaving." The elephant watched them retreat, then returned to her herd. "Your shields almost got us trampled," Kevin said once they were safe. "Elephants respond to behavior, not technology." The day's biggest surprise came when they found a leopard in a tree with its kill. The aliens wanted to flee, but Kevin parked, at a respectful distance. "She's already eaten," he observed. "Look at her belly. Now she's just guarding her meal." The leopard watched them with golden eyes but made no move to approach. "You're not afraid?" Zixler asked Kevin. "Respectful, not afraid," Kevin corrected. "There's a difference." Their final encounter was with a group of hyenas. The aliens' equipment classified them as extreme threats, but Kevin laughed. "Hyenas get a bad reputation," he said. "They're actually fascinating. Very social, led by females, and they hunt more than they scavenge." He demonstrated by playing recorded hyena calls on his radio. The hyenas responded, curious but not aggressive. As sunset painted the savanna orange, they headed back to camp. The aliens were quiet, processing everything they'd seen. "You handled every situation without weapons," Kritok finally said. "Just knowledge and respect." Kevin smiled. "My grandfather taught me that the bush has rules. Follow them and you'll be fine. Fight them and you'll lose." That evening, around the campfire, a honey badger raided their camp's trash. The aliens panicked, but Kevin simply banged some pots together. The badger scurried away. "Even the smallest predators here command respect," Zitclick observed. "Everything has its place," Kevin agreed. "From the tiny honey badger to the mighty lion. We're just visitors in their world." Zixlar stared into the fire. We've been wrong about everything. You don't dominate your predators. You coexist with them. More than that, Kevin added, we learn from them. They teach us about survival, family, and balance. In the distance, a lion roared. The sound echoed across the plains, ancient and powerful. The aliens shivered, but the humans just smiled. Back at the research facility, the aliens requested access to Earth's historical records. Dr. Paul Martinez, a historian specializing in human-animal relationships, prepared a presentation for them. I want to understand, Zixlar said, how your species developed this unusual relationship with predators. Paul smiled and dimmed the lights. Let's start at the beginning. The first images showed ancient cave paintings, humans hunting alongside wolves, not against them. About 30,000 years ago, we began partnering with wolves, Paul explained. They helped us hunt, we shared our food. Over time, they became dogs. You transformed apex predators into companions? Bisticlick's mandibles clicked rapidly. We didn't force them, Paul clarified. It was mutual benefit. They chose to stay with us. The presentation continued through history. Images of Egyptian cats, revered and protected, Roman war dogs, medieval hunting parties with trained falcons. Wait, Kurtok interrupted. You trained flying predators to hunt for you? Still do. Paul nodded. Falconry is an ancient art. The birds returned to us by choice, not force. The aliens watched footage of modern wildlife rehabilitation centers, humans caring for injured, eagles, nursing orphaned bear cubs and treating wounded wolves. This makes no sense, Zixlar protested. You heal creatures that could kill you? Every life has value, Paul replied simply. He showed them videos of shark researchers swimming freely with great whites using no cages, conservation teams relocating problem crocodiles instead of killing them, wildlife veterinarians treating injured tigers. Here's something special, Paul said, playing a video of a man reuniting with a lion he had raised and released years ago. The lion recognized him, running to embrace him like an old friend. The aliens sat in stunned silence as the massive predator gently nuzzled the human. Impossible, Kurtok whispered. That defies all logic. Not logic, Paul corrected. Just a different understanding of nature. The presentation shifted to modern conservation efforts, humans protecting wolf populations, creating tiger reserves, and fighting to save endangered predators. You spend resources protecting species that could harm you? Bisticlick asked. Because we learned what happens when we don't, Paul said gravely. He showed them graphs of ecosystem collapse when predators were removed. No wolves meant too many deer. Too many deer destroyed forests. Everything connected. Lisa added, we almost lost many species before we understood. Now we fight to keep them alive. Paul showed them the story of the California condor, brought back from near extinction, the return of wolves to Yellowstone, and how it restored the entire ecosystem. Your people celebrate when predators return? Zixlar asked incredulously. Most of us do, Jake confirmed. We understand now that healthy predator populations mean healthy ecosystems. The final part of the presentation showed ordinary people living with predators. Ranchers using guardian dogs instead of killing wolves, surfers sharing waves with sharks, hikers carrying bear spray instead of guns. We even have therapy programs using horses and dogs, Paul added. Former predators helping heal human trauma. The presentation ended with children at a zoo, pressing their hands against glass while a tiger did the same from the other side. Both species curious, neither afraid. You teach your young to admire predators? Kurtok observed. We teach them respect and understanding, Paul answered. Fear comes from ignorance. Knowledge brings appreciation. Zixlar stood and paced. Everything we thought about advanced civilizations is wrong. We believed intelligence meant dominance over nature. Maybe it does, Jake suggested. But true dominance isn't about destruction. It's about stewardship. The strongest species isn't the one that kills all threats, Lisa added. It's the one that turns threats into allies. Click reviewed his notes. You don't just coexist with predators. You form emotional bonds with them. You risk your lives to save them. You love them? Many of us do, Paul admitted. They're part of our world, our history, our families. The aliens spent hours reviewing more records, watching videos of humans, interacting with various predators. Each example challenged their understanding of what an advanced species should be. We must report this to the Council, Zixlar finally declared. Humans are not what we expected. They're something entirely new. What will you tell them? Jake asked. Zixlar looked at his colleagues, then back at the humans. That Earth's most dangerous predators aren't the ones with fangs and claws. They're the ones who befriend them. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 50 different species had gathered for an emergency session. At the center stood Commander Zixlar, his scales shifting through various shades of uncertainty. Esteemed Council members, he began. Our mission to Earth has revealed something unprecedented. We must completely recategorize the human species. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The High Counselor, a being of pure energy named Luminara, flickered with interest. Explain, Commander. Zixlar activated the holographic display. Images from their Earth visit appeared in the air. Humans swimming with sharks, walking beside lions, playing with wolf descendants. We initially classified humans as harmless omnivores, Zixlar continued. We were wrong. They are apex predators with an ability we've never encountered before. What ability? Asked Representative Thrix, whose species had fled their homeworld. After failing to control their predators, they befriend what they cannot defeat, Zixlar stated simply. The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Kurtak stepped forward, his forearms gesturing for attention. We witnessed humans handle creatures that terrify us, using nothing but knowledge and respect, he explained. Their technology often made situations worse. Their understanding made them better. Click presented the data. Analysis shows humans have domesticated over 40 species, including apex predators. They've turned wolves into guardians, wildcats into companions, and even keep venomous snakes as pets. Impossible, shouted Representative Morak, whose people had spent millennia hiding underground from their planet's predators. No intelligent species would choose such madness. Yet they thrive, Zixlar countered. He showed footage of children playing with large dogs, families visiting zoos, researchers working with dangerous animals. High Counselor Luminara pulsed thoughtfully. Show us more evidence. The presentation continued. They saw humans protecting endangered predators, spending vast resources to save species that could kill them. They watched wildlife veterinarians treating injured bears and releasing them back to the wild. They heal their potential killers? Representative Vex asked, her feathers ruffling in disbelief. Regularly, Kurtak confirmed. They call it conservation. They believe every species has intrinsic value. The most shocking revelation came when they showed the extinction prevention programs. Humans bringing species back from the brink, reintroducing predators to restore ecosystems, fighting to protect animals that most council species would exterminate. They celebrate when dangerous animals return to an area, Bustaclick reported. They consider it a sign of environmental health. The council sat in stunned silence as they absorbed this information. Everything they knew about civilized behavior was being challenged. Representative Thrick spoke up. But how do they survive? How do they build cities with predators roaming free? They create boundaries, Zixlar explained. National parks, wildlife reserves, urban planning that accounts for animal corridors. They don't eliminate threats. They manage them. And when management fails? Luminara asked. They have specialists, Kritok answered. Rangers, animal control, wildlife experts. They relocate problem animals when possible, use lethal force only as a last resort. The final part of the presentation showed something that left the council speechless. Therapy animals. Humans using their domesticated predators to heal emotional trauma, help the disabled, comfort the sick. They turned their greatest fears into their greatest healers, Zixlar concluded. The council chamber remained quiet for a long moment. Then Representative Zora, whose species had achieved peace through eliminating all predators, spoke. What you're describing sounds like the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. They don't just survive alongside predators, they weaponize empathy itself. Perhaps, Luminara mused, that's exactly what makes them valuable to the galactic community. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued that humans were too dangerous, their approach too radical. Others saw potential in their unique abilities. Finally, High Counselor Luminara made her decision. We will reclassify humans as apex species with advanced predator integration capabilities. Furthermore, I propose we offer them a unique position in our galactic community. What position? Zixlar asked. Peacekeepers and wildlife consultants for dangerous worlds, Luminara declared. Their ability to coexist with deadly creatures could help us colonize planets we've deemed too hostile. The council voted overwhelmingly in favor. Humans would join the galactic community not as another peaceful species but as something entirely new, the species that made friends with monsters. 6 months later, Earth received its first official diplomatic mission from the Galactic Council. Captain Jake Morrison stood proudly in his new uniform as Earth's first galactic wildlife ambassador. Beside him, Lisa, Amy, Matt, Kevin, and Paul wore similar attire, each representing different aspects of human-wildlife relations. The Council had established the Interstellar Wildlife Management Division, with Earth as its headquarters. Alien delegations arrived daily, seeking advice on dealing with dangerous creatures on their colonies. Ambassador Morrison called High Counselor Luminara, her energy form shimmering. We have a situation on Kepler 438b. Colonists are threatened by silicon-based predators. Jake studied the holographic data. They hunt by detecting electrical fields. I suggest the colonists use low-frequency sound barriers instead of energy shields, and maybe try to understand their hunting patterns first. The council members nodded, still amazed at human approaches to problem-solving. In another meeting room, Lisa consulted with representatives from Proxima Centauri b about their failing ecosystem. You eliminated all predators 2 centuries ago, she explained. Now your herbivore population is destroying plant life. We need to reintroduce predator species, but gradually. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. But they're dangerous, one protested. So is ecological collapse, Lisa replied gently. We'll teach you management techniques. The biggest surprise came during the cultural exchange program. The council had hesitantly accepted Earth's gift of therapy puppies, specially trained dogs for stress relief. Ambassador Kratok sat rigidly as a golden retriever puppy climbed into his lap. His 4 hands trembled slightly. It's okay, Jake assured him. She just wants to be friends. The puppy licked Kratok's blue face. For the first time in recorded history, a Vraxian diplomat laughed with pure joy. Soon, other council members requested their own Earth companions. Cats became popular among the energy beings, who found their independent nature fascinating. Even, some reptilian species adopted snakes as pets, appreciating their calm demeanor. The real test came when the colony world of New Haven faced a crisis. Massive flying predators called Sky Rippers were attacking settlements. Traditional military responses had failed. Send the humans, High Counselor Luminara decided. Jake led a team including Matt and several wildlife experts. Instead of weapons, they brought recording equipment, observation drones, and camping gear. For weeks, they studied the Sky Rippers, living among them, learning their patterns. They discovered the creatures were migrating, not hunting. The colony had been built directly in their ancestral nesting grounds. We need to relocate the colony, not eliminate the Sky Rippers, Jake reported back. The council was skeptical but agreed. With human guidance, the colonists moved to a nearby valley. The Sky Rippers returned to their nesting sites peacefully. Some colonists even began studying them, inspired by human examples. A year after first contact, Earth hosted the first Galactic Wildlife Conference. Species from across the galaxy gathered to learn about coexistence, conservation, and the radical idea that understanding could replace fear. During the closing ceremony, a Saurian child approached Ambassador Kurtok, who was playing fetch with his adopted German shepherd. "Why aren't you afraid?" the child asked. "Dogs come from wolves. Wolves eat people like us." Kurtok smiled, a gesture he'd learned from humans. "Because humans taught us something important. The most dangerous creatures aren't always the ones with the sharpest teeth. Sometimes they're the ones smart enough to turn enemies into friends." The child watched as the dog returned the ball, tail wagging. "Can I throw it?" "Of course," Kurtok said. "That's how friendship begins." Across the conference, similar scenes played out. Alien children petted Earth animals, diplomats discussed conservation strategies, and former enemies shared stories of successful wildlife management. High Counselor Luminera observed it all with satisfaction. "The humans have changed us," she told Zixlar. "We spent millennia running from our fears. They taught us to face them with understanding." Zixlar nodded, absent-mindedly scratching his pet cat. "They showed us that true strength isn't in destruction, but in the courage to coexist." As the sun set on the conference, Jake Morrison looked at the gathered species, former prey and predator alike, learning to see each other differently. Earth hadn't just joined the galactic community. It had transformed. The age of fear was ending. The age of understanding had begun.